Today, the greatest risk of global catastrophe doesn't look like this. Instead, it looks like this. If anything kills over 10 million people in the next few decades, it's most likely to be a highly infectious virus rather than a war. Not missiles, but microbes. Now, part of the reason for this is that we have invested a huge amount in nuclear deterrence. But we've actually invested very little in a system to stop an epidemic. We're not ready for the next epidemic. The failure to prepare could allow the next epidemic to be dramatically more devastating than Ebola. A virus where people feel well enough while they're infectious that they get on a plane or they go to a market. The source of the virus could be a natural epidemic like Ebola, or it could be bioterrorism. And so there are things that would literally make things 1,000 times worse. If we start now, we can be ready for the next epidemic.
Is that there is no question that there will be a challenge to the coming administration in the arena of infectious diseases, both chronic infectious diseases in the sense of already ongoing disease, and we have certainly a large burden of that, but also there will be a surprise outbreak. There will be a surprise outbreak. There will be a surprise outbreak.
Now, the world today has 6.8 billion people. That's headed up to about 9 billion. Now, if we do a really great job on new vaccines, healthcare, reproductive health services, we could lower that by perhaps 10 or 15%. But there we see an increase of about 1.3. Now, if we do a really great job on new vaccines, healthcare, reproductive health services, we could lower that by perhaps 10 or 15%. We could lower that by perhaps 10 or 15%.
$10 billion over the next 10 years to make it the year of the vaccines. What does that mean exactly?
Well, over this decade, we believe unbelievable progress can be made, both inventing new vaccines and making sure they get out to all the children who need them. We could cut the number of children who die every year from about 9 million to half of that if we have success on it. And the benefits there in terms of reducing sickness, reducing the population growth, it really allows the society a chance to take care of itself once you've made that intervention. And the benefits there in terms of reducing sickness, reducing the population growth, reducing the population growth. But if we go back to the key metrics, which is what the foundation looks at on all its stuff, can we drop the number of children who die per year in half and get the reduction in sickness and population growth that comes with that? That is sort of front of mind all the time. Yeah. Get the reduction in sickness and population growth that comes with that. That is sickness and population growth that comes with that. That is
guy who made billions out of creating super clunky corporate software. What you didn't realize is that Bill Gates doesn't think of himself that way. Bill Gates doesn't think of himself as some guy who got super rich making bad software. Bill Gates thinks of himself as God in control of the solar system. And that's why Bill Gates is now backing something called sun-dimming technology that would reflect sunlight out of the Earth's atmosphere, causing global cooling. Ooh, that's not fraught with risks. You thought gain-of-function research on pathogens was dangerous. Try that. But that doesn't stop Harvard University. Its scientists are testing that technology by spewing calcium carbonate dust into the atmosphere.
Bill Gates is backing the first high-altitude experiment of one radical climate change solution, creating a massive chemical cloud that could cool the Earth. It's called solar geoengineering, and it's highly controversial. It would look something like this. Thousands of planes would fly very high and use nozzles to inject millions of tons of light-reflecting particles into the stratosphere. It would create a thin chemical cloud of those particles around the whole planet, blocking some sunlight from reaching the surface. It would mimic a giant volcanic eruption, which we know cools the Earth.
Now, just to restate, Bill Gates is not God. Bill Gates is some kind of weird, socially awkward rich guy who lives in Seattle. He doesn't own the planet, but he's now changing the planet single-handedly. This is not just over his yard in Seattle. This is over your yard and our oceans and the whole planet.
Δίτες στη θάλασσα του Μαρμαρά προσπαθούν χωρίς εντυπωσιακά αποτελέσματα να καθαρίσουν την κολώδη βλένα, το φυτοπλακτόν δηλαδή, που απλώθηκε και στο βυθό. Η οργανική αυτή ύλη παρέμεινε στην επιφάνεια της θάλασσας για περισσότερο από ένα μήνα, αλλά η τουρκική κυβέρνηση δεν κινήθηκε έγκαιρα, όπως είχε δεσμευθεί ο πρόεδρος Ερντογάν για την απομάκρυνσή της.
Ώστε να περιοριστεί οποιαδήποτε ρύπανση καταλήγει προς το Βόρειο Αιγαίο, ειδικά σε μια περίοδο η οποία είναι έντονα τουριστική.
Τα θαλάσσια ρεύματα το έσπρωξαν τελικά προς το Αιγαίο. Εκτός από την Ήμβρο, την Τένεδο και την Αλικαρνασσό, εντοπίστηκε και στη Λίμνο και πρόσφατα, όπως φαίνεται και στις δορυφορικές εικόνες που επεξεργάστηκε το Δημοκρίτιο Πανεπιστήμιο, έφτασε στα παράλια της Λίμνου και του Αϊστράτη, ακουμπώντας ακόμη και τις βόρειες ποράδες. Πρόκειται πλέον για διασυνοριακή ρύπανση.
Από αύριο θα βρίσκονται ήδη επιθεωρητές περιβάλλοντος οι οποίοι θα έρθουν, αν δεν απατώμε, από την Θεσσαλονίκη, για να μπορέσουμε από εκεί πέρα να δούμε τον τρόπο με τον οποίο θα το αντιμετωπίσουμε. Εάν
το επόμενο διάστημα αλλάξει η φορά του ανέμου και από βόρειος-βορειοανατολικός γίνει νότιος, υπάρχει μεγάλη πιθανότητα να έχουμε εξάπλωση της μεταφοράς της βλένας και στο θρακικό πέλαγος.
Το φαινόμενο έχει παρατηρηθεί και στο παρελθόν, αλλά όχι σε τέτοια έκταση. Οφείλεται στη μεταφορά των υπολειμμάτων των λιπασμάτων μέσω των ποταμών, ενώ εμπλέκεται σε αυτό και η κλιματική αλλαγή, αφού διωγγώνεται το πρόβλημα όταν αυξάνουν οι θερμοκρασίες. Το επόμενο διάστημα αναμένεται να απασχολεί όλο και πιο συχνά τη Μεσόγειο.
Η θαλάσσια ζωή κινδυνεύει όταν αυτό θα αρχίσει να βυθίζεται πλέον προς τον πυθμένα, θα καλύψει οτιδήποτε υπάρχει εκεί.
Προκειμένου να μην δεχτεί πλήγμα ο τουρισμός, στην έναρξη της περίοδου είναι κρίσιμο να οργανωθεί επιχείρηση καθαρισμού με ειδικά σκάφη και αναρροφητήρες, πριν τα ρεύματα το διασπείρουν προς πάσα κατεύθυνση.